If I asked you to close your eyes and take a leap of faith on your abilities to accomplish your goal, how many of you would be willing to actually do it and live with the consequences, the sense of adventure, and the learning lessons that you'll absorb along the way? The answer to such a question will often determine your level of both professional and personal prosperity. Those that are willing to make the investment in themselves will often see the best and most highest return, cutting out the white noise and believing in the possible of your own potential. It all goes back to the theory of one heartbeat, one story, and one opportunity. For you see, the diversity of ideas and opportunities to advance are often written on an individual basis for us all to collectively prosper from. For my friend RC Everbeck, he's attempting to do something that only a select few would ever dare to try to accomplish. You see, his life story reads more like a Hollywood script than a regular, run-of-the-mill life narrative. Everbeck has experienced starring in movies alongside Julia Roberts and Robert Redford, including Pretty Woman and Spider-Man, just to name a few. He also had and has a dream of starring as a football player, so let me connect the dots for all of you. You see, Everbeck is attempting to prove that your dreams and destinies in life do not have an expiration date. You see, in his mid-40s, Everbeck decided to walk onto another type of stage to see if his dream of playing football could still be alive. He didn't want to do it for nostalgic reasons, just simply for the love and pure joy of the game and the gridiron. After he enrolled in community classes just for the fun of it and to see himself back in pads once again, attempting to rewrite the record books as the oldest college football player to have 100 or more plays who was not a special teamer. And now he has dabbled into the professional ranks as well. I'll let Everbeck pick up his incredible and inspiring story from here. So without further delay, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. RC, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm super excited about learning about your live acting and football journey. Great to see you today. And thank you so very much for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Mark.
Absolutely. RC, I wanted to start our conversation by asking you about your life journey, because I know it's taken a lot of twists and turns from football to acting to everything in between, my friend. So I'm wondering if we can start our conversation by you giving me sort of the 360-degree view of who you are and what makes you so fabulous, my friend.
maybe looking at it from the outside, but for me, it's just each day stacking onto each next day, really. Let's see, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. My father taught phys ed, and my mother was a daycare provider. And I grew up poor, but that taught us the finer things in life. We didn't go to Disneyland. We went to the woods. We'd go camping or something because it was cheap, and my dad really loved the outdoors, which I grew to love too, and still do to this day. Was at Medfield High School. Was a track captain. Played football there. Played my last high school game when I was 16. My parents were divorced, so we moved to the state of Washington, to Oak Harbor. There's a naval base there, Nass Whidbey. And I finished my senior year there. Went on to Washington State University on a decathlon scholarship. I was a track athlete. It's funny, because it comes up a lot, but they say, why'd you go track instead of football? And I was entertaining offers for both track and football. And my family didn't know much about accepting. Like nowadays, it's kind of a big thing. It's on TV and they have shows, and you know that you accept scholarships and whatnot. But we didn't really know that. I just thought I could go wherever I wanted when I got back. And so we were in the woods for like 6 weeks, and I came back, and the only place left was Washington State. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm running track. But no, it was a great school. It was number 3 track school in the country at the time, and I was honored to be there. And I was a decathlete. And true story, it was my second or third day there. And even though you get a scholarship, they still, they put you through the paces. They want to make sure you can deliver on what they think they're getting. So Simon Shirley was a decathlete from Australia, and he was a bit older, and he was gearing up for the Olympics. And I kind of wanted to be like him, but my idol had been Bruce Jenner, and I shit you not, on the second or third day, we're out for a run, and there's Bruce Jenner running with us, and I'm like, wait, what? And so him and Simon Shirley took off running, and I would try to catch up, and they'd look over their shoulder, they'd take off, and then I'd try to get close, and they'd take off. It was like a 6-mile run, and then finally at the very end, with a half a mile to go, they're so then they let me run with them for the last little bit. It was super fun. From there, I transferred to Arizona State, and gray shirted there. They didn't have the portal back then, so you had to sit a year out. That's called a gray shirt. Gray shirted at Arizona State, and then that summer, backtrack. The summer between Washington State and Arizona State, I was up deep sea fishing in Alaska, in the Bering Sea, 50 miles out of the then Soviet Union. We were just nothing for 3 months out, just long hair and thermals for the whole summer. And then I came back and went to Arizona State, and then that summer I got a little Geo Metro, 3-cylinder tiny car with no AC, no radio or anything, and just drove to LA to be an actor, because I'd always known since second grade I was going to be an actor. And the guy I was going to stay with, he's like, well, I got a date. So I'm like, so? And he's like, well, you can't stay here. It's so now I'm living in my car. And I got next to no money. I mean, I came with $500. I don't know what I was thinking, but that was going quick. And I ended up getting it onto a movie from being an extra. I got sort of upgraded um, on this TV this Disney movie of the week called Polly, which was it was a musical rendition of Pollyanna. But they kind of turned the tables where it was a black town in a white town, which had conflict versus, in the Heidi, they had, two just warring towns. But it was all like famous black actors. Like anybody you'd ever seen was in this thing. Like they didn't have extras really. It was like the smallest roles were like people that were in Cats and stuff. Debbie Allen was the director, and she had done The Wiz on Broadway. So like George Anthony Bell had played Old Deuteronomy, and Ken Page, in New York, and Vanessa Bell Calloway, and T.K. Carter, Butterfly McQueen, who was the original Prissy in Gone with the Wind. She was there. She actually told me I reminded her of Clark Gable, which was really kind of a treat because she actually had met him. Felicia Rashad was the main star with Keisha Knight Pulliam, who had been on, both of those two were on The Cosby Show. And then from there, I got another film, which ended up being Pretty Woman. And at that point, I had to join the union. So now things that people had tried for years and years to get, now you might not know this, but in order to shoot a union movie, a SAG movie, a Screen Actors Guild, which is now called SAG-AFTRA, you had to, in order to be in one, you had to have a SAG card, but in order to get in one, you had to have a SAG card. So how do you get a SAG card to be in a movie if you can't get a SAG card, right? So how it works is if you offer something that isn't available, like I was on set and they needed a guy, and it was a Sunday, so they didn't have time to do casting or anything. So Gary Marshall brought me in, and that's how I got my union card. And at that point, it was Olympics or being a film actor, and the film actor was just a bigger dream. So I stopped doing track altogether. In fact, I didn't step foot on a track for like the next 6 years, just from going 6 hours a day, 6 days a week to nothing. It was depressing. I mean, it was, but the film stuff was exciting. So, there's a trade-off. You can't do both, really. You can, but I didn't know how to do it at the time. And then 2 years in, I decided to go back to school to finish my degree, so I'd have, a backup in case I had a family one day and, something happened to me. I wanted to be able to protect them. And then, so I went to USC. I played rugby there. I got a finance major with a filmmaking minor at USC. And then I worked lots of jobs. So we have what we call them is waiter jobs. Like if you're an actor, you wait tables, or another job that isn't acting, so you make it well enough so you can only act. So we all had waiter jobs. My waiter job to begin with was I was a casting director, or a casting assistant, then a casting director. And I had cast like 750 music videos and commercials. I mean, I did a lot of work. Guys like Prince and Janet Jackson and Cyndi Lauper and Poison and Bon Jovi. I mean, just like everybody. And then I got into commercial work, casting. And then at some point I was able to not have to do that, my waiter job, and I just was acting. But then the whole exodus to Canada for the Canadian tax break happened, and a lot of jobs here were gone. And that took a while to recover, so I had to go back to work. And I'm like, well, what do I want to do? And I really wanted to flip houses. So I became a handyman and a drywall contractor while I was acting. So that was my waiter job, and that was really good. Then flash forward 30 years, I'm living in Santa Monica, and I was going to coach pole vaulting. One of my friends suggested I coach pole vaulting over at the college, and I thought, great. I mean, my dad was a phys ed teacher. It'd be really cool to teach or, whatever, be in there as a volunteer, really. And then the same guy, Gabe Berkovich, said, hey, why don't, instead of doing track, why don't you and I play football here? And I'm like, well, I mean, I've used up my eligibility for one, and for two, the cutoff was 26. So, and he goes, no, in California, there's an exemption. You get 2 years for life in every sport, as long as you haven't done it professionally or at another school for 2 years. You get 2 years of college sport at California community colleges. And I asked the athletic director about it, and he like looks at me and I said, hey, can I play football here? And he's like, technically, yeah. I mean, I was 47, so I was an older guy. And but I got out. I learned to run again. I tried out for doing the spring stuff where you don't have pads or anything. I was weightlifting with the guys and on the team, and practicing on the field and running plays and stuff. And then when it came time to select the team, I had made the team, and then I was really wondering if I could play, because the coach even told me later, head coach Kelly Ledwith, he confessed later in an interview, he said, yeah, I just thought, he'd just sit there and give up and that'd be it. But he called for a safety one day because a chin strap came off, and you can't play. If your helmet comes off, you have to sit out a play in college. And so one of the guys that was a safety, I was a safety at the time, he had to come out. And he goes, safety. And I just went running in because I was ready. So I did one play. The coach was like, get out of there, RC, get out. And then it happened again. And I went running back in. And so now I have 3 plays, and I'm using my eligibility, because once you play a play, your eligibility starts. You start using that. You're one of your 2 years. And the coach wanted to, I mean, I was in shape and I was one of the bigger guys on the team, and he wanted to, and I was athletic. He wanted to utilize me, so he started playing me special teams, and then I started playing fourth quarter, and I just kept working my way up and getting more and more playing time, and then eventually, at the end of it, I ended up starting the last game of that season, and then we had the off season, and I had our first game. I was named team captain. And then I tore my adductor tendon in my leg. So I was out. I missed the whole season. So then that's a medical red shirt. So I had a medical red shirt and came back in 2019 at 49 and played that season. And because I'd been injured, I was, I lost a lot of my speed because I hadn't been, consistently training. So they moved me to outside linebacker. And I'll tell you, I'd played safety my whole life, or, in running back and stuff on offense, but safety on defense. And, but linebacker, boy, I loved it. I mean, it was really hard to learn because it was a whole new position, and just, I mean, I'm still learning stuff like hand movements and this kind of thing. Are you pretty familiar with football?
I am, yeah. I originally went to school to become a sports reporter, so absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so the hand jive you have with the guys on the line when you're trying to get around them, you do certain moves. I didn't know any of the moves, because normally it's like keep your distance and then tackle, safety. You get to a thing, have a cushion, then don't get burnt, then commit to either intercepting or tackling or, smacking the ball, whatever. So, but boy, being in the mix, that was great. And then, so I played there, and then I tore my shoulder. I played 2 games with two tendons torn, my whole rotator cuff torn. I still played 2 games, and then went to the doctor and had major surgery, and that took a couple years to recover from. And the pandemic was happening, and so I didn't have access to like good facilities in rehabs and that kind of thing for my shoulder. So a little bit more time passes, and a friend of mine gives me a call, and he says, "Hey," he goes, "Wow, playing football at our age, that's pretty impressive." He goes, "But the thing is, I own a team. Now, if you want to come play professional football when you're done with your college career and give it a try, hey, put you in for a play or two like Rudy and get it done. Set some records or something." I'm like, okay, basically. But I started training for it, and I just realized I wasn't done. So I continued to press. I rejoined the college and been training with the guys there. And then last Monday, I signed my contract to play professional football for the Wheeling Miners, which is an arena team in West Virginia. And I'm 2 days, I'm getting on a plane and heading out there for the next 4 months to go play arena football for the town of Wheeling, which I'm really excited about. That's where I'm at, up to the date.
Well, that is certainly a roller coaster of a ride if I've ever heard of one, isn't it?
There's a lot more in there, but you asked for the quick edition, so.
Well, I appreciate that. And RC, I'm curious to ask you about your definition of the word commitment. I know that you've starred in movies with Julia Roberts and Robert Redford, and you've also played football. And as you just detailed, my friend, your journey has taken a lot of twists and turns and everything in between. So I'm curious, how do you view the word commitment, my friend?
I'll say commitment is similar to the word promise. That's one thing that's important to me. I'm a Christian, and one of the things that I strive to do, and I don't lie, I don't steal, but in the lies, and in the no lie, not to lie. If I say, out loud or to some other people, or especially to God, I'm going to do something. I mean, you can't fudge around on that. Think of who your audience is. You can't half-ass it. So when I say out loud, I'm going to do something or commit, it's a promise I'm making. And I'm just really good at keeping those. I hold that sacred. My word is important to me. I'll make a lot of mistakes, but I'll keep my word, and so when I committed to doing football, like when I committed to joining the team, I knew I would do it for at least the year and then evaluate. And the same thing with, this new venture with this professional team. I'm going all in because I want to add value to them. I want them to, get their money's worth, as it were. Committing to something, I guess it depends on how you commit. Like, oh yeah, I'll be there. That's one thing. Or, I'll try is less of a commitment. A lot of people these days say I'll try or maybe. And I try not to do that. I try to say yes or no. Or I will give you an answer based on some unforeseen or, unresolved issues, but I'll let you know. And then I'll just hold it up, like however it comes out. So, commitment to yourself is important, I think. Because again, for me, it's between, even if I'm alone, it's between me and God, especially if I pray about it. I'll say, help me to do this. I don't take it lightly. I don't just go asking. I just ask that I do my best. I don't ask for freebies or free rides. I just, help me to do my best at it. But that's a commitment. And then just to blow that off, it's just, for me, it's not something I do.
And RC, I'm wondering your thoughts on your versatility as an actor, because I know you've also been in movies like Pretty Woman and Spider-Man, and one of the hallmarks of yourself as an actor, you say, is your unbridled versatility as an actor. So how important is it to be nimble as an actor? And what's been your favorite acting role to this point, my friend?
Um, I mean, versatility is subjective. I dive into roles all the way. So I was working on this film, Lie Detector. It's a film that I starred in, and there was a lot to do. Like I had to learn how to rock climb, and the very first scene we shot is climbing what's called a free solo. Climbing without ropes at El Capitan in Yosemite. Like that's day one, and I didn't know how to rock climb. So and I don't really believe in fake it till you make it necessarily. Like when it comes to film, like come prepared. So I was out every single day with Scotty Pignatelli, who was a world-class climber, and he took me everywhere, and we learned how to climb. We were climbing 11s and 12s and stuff, and but then I think the versatility that you're talking about comes from having a lot of different life experiences and then being able to draw on those experiences or, juxtapose like, this is close to that. And when I do my film and when I do my acting, I'm not a method actor to where I'm like, oh, just remember, when your dad died, now start crying. Like it's more organic to me insofar as I am that character. I'm embodying who that character is at the time that I'm in it, and that person would feel emotions, but having been through it before, I don't have to necessarily fake it or, guess what it might be. I will have felt something similar because of having had, quite a few life experiences, to where I could draw on it and see where he might, my character might be coming from. My favorite thing I did was Lie Detector, though. There were so many just cool things because he gets hit by a car. He's rock climbing and then he gets hit by a car. Then he gets aphasia, so now he can't talk, and then he's injured and makes his way back. And I had to learn French, for a portion of it, which I speak Spanish but not French. And then he's a polygrapher and he's got a family, and then there's like all this mystery in it. So there's just so many different cool little things. This character had a lot of facets, and it was my first I'd starred in smaller things, but this was my first starring thing in a bigger movie where I knew everything about it. Like I'd be so in tune with what was going on that I'd be like walking. I remember I was just walking somewhere and one of the grips said, "Hey, anybody see my glasses?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, they're over by Crafty." Like I take it all in. Like I'm in my element when I'm on a film set. And it just all my senses open up and I'm just in tune. Or the wardrobe stylist said, what was my co-star wearing on the day that we were shooting on the Golden Gate Bridge? I'm like, it was supposed to be the green shirt, but we did that other scene, so now it's the next day, and he was wearing the orange shirt. She's like, oh, yeah. But I'll remember what my co-stars were wearing for clothing. Like, that's how immersed I would be into a film. But yeah, Lie Detector was my favorite. But there's been a lot of them. I've been fortunate enough to where, a lot of the directors I have worked with, they seem open to collaboration to a certain degree. I mean, I haven't been on like a Mammoth film where, like, if you miss a comma, they strike the scene and start over. And oftentimes I can't control myself. Like, just the in character things will come out of my mouth. I'm like, geez, that was great. And then sometimes I say, yeah, no more of that. I'm like, okay, sorry, because I was just feeling it out. And, but I don't know, every set I've been on has been awesome in some way. Because it's, that's my world. Like, there's other people that are doing what I want to do that have the same kind of love and passion for it. And although it's not rare in film, in the world it's rare, like having that amount of creativity all gathered up and, just bubbling over, and you just feed off each other. One of my buddies, Grant, he says he tries to just slay the guy opposite him, like just be so much better. And when they bring it to, it's just like the battle's there, and between talent and what have you, it's just a thrill. Just trying to be your best and bring your best, and be respected for doing a good job. Being a good collaborator, being a good teammate. I think that's really important too. Like, there's the crossover between sport and film, to where, like, some people want to, like, hog it up, or, like, upstage and this and that. And I don't see it that way. I look at the film as a whole and what's best for the film. There's plenty of times where I've suggested that maybe another character takes some of my lines because it's more appropriate, and then it will set something else up later. And you don't see a lot of people giving away their lines, but it's right for the film. I was writing this film one time with Shannon Leto, Jared Leto's brother, and I was writing a part for myself in it because we were writing. And the more time that went by, the more I realized it needed to be like an older, like Jason Robards character. And so I'm literally was writing myself out of the script because it was for the good of the script. Like, to make a better picture, I couldn't be in it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, at least it was honest, but.
Yeah, that's rare in terms of having a collaboration and creativity in that regard on a movie set, isn't it?
No, it's common. It's very common. I mean, outside of film, it's uncommon.
Yeah.
In the workplace, because I've had to be in workplaces, people are, what's it for me? Job negotiation, pricing, get it done as long as it serves me. I will work for you as long as I'm served. But on a film set, it seems like most people, in general, the parties involved work for the good of the film. Like, it's not altruistic, purely, but it's a giving environment where you don't find that a lot in other places. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, it's great to have creative freedom, isn't it?
It is, and it's good to have the guidance too, though. You want to make sure that you're accomplishing a vision, but you're bringing something special to the table. Look, when I was doing the casting, I needed, let's say it's a commercial for 30 seconds. I need you to get these 30 seconds worth of lines out, but I want you to bring what you got to it. Like, I don't want to just tell you what's up. Like, it's the individual bringing, a flavor and a take on a script. That's what makes it special. And honestly, like, let's say I was seeing 100 guys, right, for a role. 80% of them, 70% would be crap, you know. 20, 20 would be like, really good. And then 10 are so good, you just forget to stop the camera. And they're all doing it differently. I mean, that was really my acting school, was like watching just always a different way to do it. And there isn't just one right way to do it either.
And also, tell me, how do you think your experience as an athlete has helped you sort of evolve as an actor, my friend?
Well, in its purest form, a lot of times I can handle more of the stunt work or more of the dangerous things. In Lie Detector, we did have a climbing double, but his scenes ended up getting cut, so I did all the stunts for my own show. And it's not to say, I mean, we were on a budget, so it worked out. But I mean, some of my best friends are stuntmen, and let them do their job. But if you can do certain things, then the camera can get in closer, and the director has more options. So if they don't have to cut around your face or whatever because it isn't you, I think that's helped. Being athletic. I think athleticism sells me as a leading man better, because I keep in good shape, and not always, but the films that I get, that's the character. They want someone in shape, and it's kind of, when you pick me and you choose me to be your guy, like, a lot of times you're choosing me because I am athletic, because that character demands it. Every character, every role, is different. I mean, it's funny, people look at Hollywood, right, and they think, oh, it's just like these, homecoming and king and queen, and like all these pretty people and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, if you actually look at a film, there's like a leading man and woman often, and more in the past than today's films. But it used to be a good-looking guy, a good-looking girl, and then just regular people. Like, the regular-looking people work a lot more. Like, there's a lot fewer opportunities for, I think, in general, for your traditional, what you think of the Hollywood star. Now, stars do have star power and stuff, but the working actor, the one that you see again and again and again all the time, that you just can't name, those guys, they're the ones that work nonstop. And at some point, I'll be there. I'll be past the age of leading man, and I'll be hoping for those roles, grandpa and store clerk or whatever, or some kind of interesting role that I haven't tried before, or was kind of cool to check out or something.
Yeah, and I want to go back to your football journey for just a second, because, as you said, you started this journey in your life sort of later in life. So tell me about the emotions and sort of the journey that you've gone on, capturing this college football journey, and now this professional journey as you continue to evolve. Tell me about your football journey specifically and how you view it now, my friend.
I don't know about the emotional part of it. Okay, well, there's a lot of satisfaction. Originally, I didn't, my first year of football, I didn't put anything on social media. In fact, I didn't even use my Instagram account. I had gotten one, and then I just put up a couple pictures, and then I just sat. And then after my first year, they're like, "You got to use your Instagram. It's like a big deal." And I'm like, "Okay." But I didn't put it out on Facebook. I didn't tell anybody I was playing. I mean, it was just to see if I could do it. you know, for me. And then once things started happening, I started playing. Then and then interviews started coming. I spent more time. I put up some more photos and that kind of thing. I was comfortable with it because I didn't necessarily want like my friends and stuff to come down to the game and I just sit on the bench the whole time. Because you got to remember, I mean, the last time I had played was I was 16, and now I'm back at it at 47. I had to learn all about the plays again. Like everything was different. Like everything that safeties did in 1987 or 86, I guess. Everything I did in 1986 was different for a safety than it was in 2017. So every day was a challenge, and every day I overcame a challenge. It was mini victories, and I consistently felt good. And I'd fight through injuries, and I'd play, and I think I inspired some of the younger guys because I mean they were all 18 to 22 pretty much. And I hate to say it, but they'd be like, well, if RC can do it, then we should be able to do it. And then later on, I'm like, I don't know if you can because, now I'm getting good at this. Emotions, it just gives me a lot of happiness. Now, one thing is, I mean, if I had those choices on which scholarship to take, then I hadn't, let them go by. I don't know what I would have picked. I might have picked football. I kind of hated that I had to choose, and then it was decided for me, but I didn't like that I had to choose. And I never thought that I could go to the NFL, but I did think I could go to the Olympics, or at least have a chance. So, yeah, I probably would have done track anyway, just because like there would be more past college. But that's the thing. I wanted more after college. I wanted to keep going. And so I did get my track career, but now here I am. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't do college track now. That's a speed game. There's not too much. It's less of a mental game where experience and, thinking it through and leadership doesn't have as much to do with it. It's like, are you the fastest or are you not the fastest on the stopwatch? Or did you go the highest or you throw the javelin the furthest or whatever? It's very structured into pure athleticism, where in a team sport, there's a lot more of a mental game. There's a camaraderie, there's the rally, there's like working schemes and plays to where there's, it takes 2 or 3 people in order to accomplish the goal. And for me at this age, I'm much more suited for that. So, but overall, like the fulfillment of having to be in my lifetime, having been able to actually do both things that I love, both sports that I really loved, that's been gratifying. And then this college thing has been, this professional journey that I'm starting right now has been super gratifying. This is beyond my wildest dreams. I never entertained this idea, yet here it is.
Absolutely. You really have to only believe in your own self-potential, my friend, and anything is possible, isn't it?
It is. Well, I mean, everything's not possible. I think if you set your mind to it, you can discover what your upper limits are. Does that make sense? Like you can. Mm-hmm. I think when we say anything's possible, we dream within the scope of what we believe probably be the outer range of what we can do. And to reach that is saying anything's possible. Like I can't fly, that's not possible, right? Could I play professional football? That's, oof, that's in that is anything possible if you put your mind to it, range. Um, all you can do is be your best self. And, your best self might not be playing professional football, but it might be learning to play tennis or picking up golf or getting back in shape or dieting. You're, 200 pounds overweight. And, your wildest dreams would be to be, back to your high school fighting weight of like, 180 or something. And that is anything's possible. That's where that phrase means something to me. Where just outside of the range that you think that is impossible, but not, crazy unthinkable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it actually leads into my next question. RC, listening and reading about your story, I wanted to ask you your definition of resilience and sort of reinventing yourself. And what do you think resilience and reinventing yourself are interconnected?
Well, in order to reinvent yourself, you're going to undertake a difficult task because you're either unlearning something you've already got ingrained or completely changing your belief system, your belief in what, like we were just talking about, what is possible. So to be resilient means, recognizing that failure is not a bad thing. That's resilient. Recognizing that failure is part of it. If you won everything and you were always on point, then it wouldn't be tough because you wouldn't have to be resilient to do it. Like failing often, But and there's a lot of that on social media, the guys that talk about inspirational things that, failing is a key element. Because you've tried and you've tried and you've tried. Like when I work out, like I don't just do like say 3 sets of 6 on the bench press. I'll try to get 3 sets of 6, but I don't ever want to get to 3 sets of 6 because if I can do it on my own, then I need to go up. So I'd rather have a spotter and fail, so get 6, then 5 and 4, and I'm pushing till I get the 3 6s, and then move up. Like so, it doesn't. It doesn't have an end point, you can just continue forward. But you said resilience versus what?
Reinvention.
Yeah, reinvention's a funny one. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, but I think to reinvent yourself, either, I don't know, I don't want to take a cynical approach to it. Sometimes you have to reinvent yourself. Sometimes, what you've been doing is either outdated or doesn't work anymore or has been passed over. Or now there's an AI that does that or, whatever. And, but reinvention is just, changing gears, being adept at, one, recognizing that change needs to happen and then going through with it. Someone who might have to reinvent themselves would be someone who, did something really wrong, that's socially unacceptable, and then trying to bounce back from that. That would be a reinvention. A lot of people that just happened to, and they're not coming back. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with their lives. Like Me Too outed a lot of people that were, unsavory individuals, but they didn't die. They got to do something. That would be a reinvention for me. I kind of just taking the next indicated action, like what's next. So I think I'm evolving as opposed to reinventing personally. I I haven't come to a point where I need to, just shift gears and go a whole different direction.
Absolutely. And my friend, I know for you, when people ask you whether you're reliving your glory days now, you always tell them that you're not done sort of living or describing them yet. So tell me about that motto and why that means something to you.
Yeah, people. Somebody said to me once, are you reliving your glory days? And I said, no, I'm not done making them yet. And what I mean by that is, you'll find some people, like, let's say they were the high school basketball star, and then, for the next 50 years, they talk about their high school game. That's glory days. Or someone who's in the military, let's say, enlisted for 4 years, served the country, but they're 70 and they're still talking about their time in Vietnam. Like they had a significant, amazing chunk, and it was so incredible that that's all they can talk about for the rest of their lives, because they didn't end up taking the next incredible chunk and the next incredible chunk. For me, these are like chapters. And I try to, write incredible chapters. I'm trying to make a page turner. But ultimately, I want to have a collection of chapters that's a bestseller. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to, all my shit is glory days. At least that's how I want it to be. Like, extraordinary, just because it presents itself to all of us all the time. Like, we all are presented with things that we could do that are just like, wow. But I don't do them, I find it sad sometimes when, like, someone who's decided to have, like, say, children, but they don't revel in the fact that that was the decision they made, and you're just all in on it. They're just like half-ass it, and half-ass their job, half-ass. For me, I'm like, I am trying to make a page turner. Like, if you were to read the story, is it a good one? And I've had chapters that suck, that aren't good, that I wish they could edit out, or at least have you go through quicker. But in general, I think at some point I'll slow down, but I'll be like, I want to die on the movie set. So when I'm like, 100, I'll be like, oh yeah, like 50 years ago, I was playing college football. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. When I'm 100, I will say, yeah, 50 years ago, I played college football.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, what? And then, oh yeah, then I was president of the United States, and that was cool for a minute. That was what, 4 years? Yeah, I didn't get reelected to that. And then, but that other time when I was the ambassador to, just keep going. Like, things will just happen. Oh, that time I invented that one thing. That was crazy. That was so cool. That was, what, 40 years ago? I just want that.
Mm-hmm. And RC, I'm going to share just a little bit about myself because it leads into my next two questions, and I'm going to combine them for you. So, RC, when I was born, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. And then it simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. And when I was 9 years old, I was told by a doctor that I wouldn't walk for the duration of my life without the assistance of a walker because of the severity of my condition. And, I was born 3 months premature, and I wasn't supposed to live past 3.5, and I'm now 35. So I'm curious, when you look at life and defining greatness and sort of defying expectations, how do you think that is all interconnected?
Okay. So I hear your story, right? I hear your history. You're 35. Is that right?
Yeah.
So 32 years ago, you were supposed to die.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's great that you made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are you living, and this is just, and I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying, here's the example. Are you living in the fact that you made it past 3 for the next 33 years? And for the next 20 years, are you going to keep talking about how you made it past the age of 3? Versus, I see a guy who's sitting here setting up podcasts, making, connections with other people out here, doing something that's pretty incredible, And sure, yeah, you had your those are your shitty glory days, right? Like back then. But now you're making your own. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
You're making something else happen for yourself. There's a burden that, sometimes we live with when we're scarred or something traumatic happens when you're young. But it's not a sin. The shame of it sometimes is that people will carry that with them the whole time, as opposed to either forgiving what they had or just letting it go and living into what you're doing now. You set up the pod match thing. You set up this Zoom interview. You called me up. You curated your questions. I'm sitting here looking at a guy that has his shit together, right? And I hope you see that, because as you're bringing up like what had happened to you, does that affect you anymore?
Well,
your condition does, sure,
yeah.
but because of what happened. But like I don't have envy, and it's a two-way street. I'm not super sympathetic to like, oh, that poor guy. When I say, oh, that poor guy, I mean, oh, that poor guy in comparison to me. And then when I say, wow, look at that other guy that's got all this stuff, I don't compare to him either, compared to me. Like, I only have my experience. I'm sure your experience, when you go to bed, you're happy. When you eat that, loaded hot dog with chili, you're happy. It's not like we all got our gifts and our burdens, and to compare, like, that isn't part of my bag. Like, oh, I feel so bad for that guy. I'm like, well, did you ask him how he feels? Because I think he's a pretty happy guy. Why am I? That's like a judgment that I don't need to have. Like, and if the person's a cool person, I'll be their friend. If they're not a cool person, I won't be their friend. But it's got nothing to do with like me feeling sorry or envious or jealous. Or now there's of course mentorships where you look up to and try to emulate someone that you can appreciate. But there's also like tales of warning. I'm not saying the right term, but you look at someone and you're like, I don't want to be like them because of the person they are. But nothing to do with like the hardships and stuff. And again, it's not to say when somebody has a hardship you don't help them. That isn't what I'm saying, or you don't assist someone. But I'm saying you have your life, and are you happy? I should ask you that. Are you happy with what you're doing?
Well,
you're dealt what you're dealt. You have that. This is, it's not changing. So are you happy now, 33 years later?
Well, I'll tell you that, RC. I look at life as a standard deck of playing cards, and we're all given sort of circumstances in life, and I always tell people that I can either have my circumstances work for me, or I can work for my circumstances, and I use my life story as a professional speaker now to make money, and people give me money to engage in conversation about resilience. So there's always a silver lining to life. Life to me is a grand opportunity to make a difference, and I try to maximize every moment that I have in life. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. You make me think of what Kenny Rogers said in The Gambler, that song. He says, every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. And how do you look at it? Because we could be looking at the same deck, the same hand, and go, yes, or, oh, no. And even in my own life, I can be looking at that same exact hand on one day and be like, ugh. And on a different day with a different attitude, be just like, yes. So, yeah, I think you got the right approach. I mean, people have you speak, and you're taking lemons into lemonade. But again, is it lemons? It's your life. Like, it isn't, like, that's from the outside saying it's lemons. You would be like, what are you talking about? I'm drinking grape juice, bro. You know?
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, RC, there's no 50% off policy on having a disability, so I might as well embrace it, right?
Right. Hey, I could say, and I've had an AARP card for 4 years. Should I be playing football in the pros? No. Based on everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's effing normal. Like, this is today. This is what I'm doing today. Does that make, I'm not, it's so many people don't get hurt. Why would you do that? I'm like, I'm not you. You probably should, if you're saying that, you probably shouldn't be playing football. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't try. But I'm going to, I'm trying. I'm going for it. I'm going to find out what the extent of my human experience can be. I'm going to find out what I can do, what my limits are, and if this isn't it, then I'm going to call, the Patriots and say, hey, I'm ready. Bring me up. I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. And RC, I'm curious to end on this two-part question, my friend. I'm curious, considering how old you are and going through training, what's been the most physically demanding part of getting into football shape and playing football at your age? And my friend, I'm curious to finally ask you, when you look at your life and legacy, how do you want that to be defined?
Okay. The hardest thing, and then what do I want out of life? The hardest thing from an older person standpoint, about getting ready for football is the conditioning. It's not necessarily learning the new skills and this and that. It's just the flat out conditioning. When athletes, when any of us are younger, you do 4 sports a year, you run around with your friends, you're always running places, and then you turn 20, and then you kind of walk fast. You know what I mean? And then 30 years later, they want you to run again, like sprint. And that's hard. That part, that takes work. I've done insanity beginning to end 5 times, which is that Beachbody program. And I'm telling you, bro, like the first couple of weeks I'm throwing up because it's so hard, and I'm pushing myself so hard. Like, I have a bucket, but I know I can do it, but it's going to be hard. And part of that I like. So conditioning and getting into like running shape again, that's the hardest part. Learning the plays and the drills and the science of it, that wasn't. But it's the getting in shape part. I've been accustomed to a good diet. I eat healthily, and I've studied it, and I think I spend more on supplements than I do on food, actually. I want to live a long, healthy life, and so if it's a little sacrifice now to have that happen, I don't live in the short term, with that mentality anymore. Mm-hmm. And then what was the second part?
Yeah, I just wanted to know about your legacy, my friend, and how you wanted it to be defined, both personally and professionally.
Well, in college football, there's some older guys that played, but I'm the oldest to play more than 100 plays, and not special teams. Like, oldest by a lot. There's a bunch of people that, went in for a play or two, and they were older. There's like a 55-year-old who played for Ohio. He got in for a couple plays, and all that's pretty amazing. But for me, being a team, like you can get one at bat for the Red Sox, right? Mm-hmm. and you get a hit, now you're batting 1,000 and then you end your career. So you're not gonna say, well, that guy was hitting 1,000 like for a career. You did it for a day.
Mm-hmm.
So in baseball, they say 100 games. So in football, it's 100 plays. So I'm the oldest college athlete, football player to not special teams, like not a kicker or a long snapper, but to play 100 plays. And if I do the same thing in pro football, because there's 5 guys that are older than I am that have played. 3 of them had a few kicks and long snaps. 1 guy played 1 play as a linebacker, and then there was a receiver who played for 4 years, but he only got 10 plays, or he said around 10 plays. So every year they threw him the ball twice, and they were like up by a lot. So I want to be an actual impact player who plays, and if I hit 100, Guinness Books will be there to award me the oldest, I don't know what the term is, like impact player, something like that of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a cool legacy. And then the films that I do, and I hope to create films, and I hope to have a family, and I hope that I'll be a teacher and a guide, and I will have helped people along the way. And I think the things that I do, I'd like to be remembered that I did them well, whatever it is I end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody says he might not have made it, but he gave it his all. That's important to me. Being a good brother and son, that's important to me. Yeah, and I'm not afraid of dying. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm squared away there. So yeah, and maybe I'd like to be the oldest human being ever, or at least in the modern era, at least crack like 130, 140. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe the first man to be resuscitated from cryonics, in the year 2222. That'd be all right. I'd like that. Like you said, no limits.
Well, I have to tell you, your bar of ambition is certainly out there, my friend, and I applaud you for having the foresight to see that. And finally, I want to ask you, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that?
So RC Everbeck is my name. I don't know if it's on this podcast anywhere, but so it's RC and then Ever, like forever, Beck, like David Beckham. RC Everbeck, and it's across everywhere. It's a unique name in the world. There's only one so far. So on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and rceverbeck.com. In fact, all my info is there. Plus, there's videos there and cool takes from this movie I'm shooting, because I'm actually a documentarian, started shooting the football journey, and then I'm continuing into pros. So there'll be a movie for sure, or maybe a series or 2 series, 2-parter. So that's coming. But yeah, rceverbeck.com, you can find all my Insta handles, and I post fun little shit, like, like little cool thises and that's. So if you follow me, it'll be fun. There'll be some like behind the scenes stuff, because that's the thing about being an actor, right? Or a player. You have access. You go places where a lot of other people don't. And I've been given permission to show these things. So I think it'd be fun to check out, if you're a sports fan or a movie fan.
Well, I have to tell you, access and content is sort of the lifeblood of any actor or athlete, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It is. It's true.
Well, RC, I really want to thank you for opening up your life and sharing a part of your incredible athletic and personal journey with me, my friend. And I want to thank you for engaging in conversation and being willing to be an example for others to follow, my friend. I really enjoyed engaging in conversation with you, and I want to thank you for being here today. It's most appreciated.
Thank you so much, Mark. You just hit on one thing that I'll close with. Because it hasn't been done before, what I'm doing, it doesn't seem like it can be done. But once I do it, Anthony Hopkins said it in The Edge, what one man can do, another can do. And I feel like even though I might be the first to do this, I don't think I'll be the last. I hope everybody gets off their couch, everybody decides it. It doesn't have to be over for me either. It doesn't have to be football, but go climb, go golf, go join a swim team, go get engaged again, go live life. It doesn't need to be 4 years of glory years and then 70 years of emptiness. Like, it can be awesome.